Welcome to the first ever altcoin draft on teachingcrypto.com. No one on YouTube or Apple or Spotify has ever done this before. So this is exciting. First ever altcoin draft. And we're doing this for the next couple months because a lot of people do anticipate some type of bear market. Could be short, could be long. We're not going to talk too much about that. But basically, most people expect Bitcoin to jump up close to between 85 and 100K. We don't know if there's going to be, an all season with a super cycle. We're going to pretend for this draft maybe there isn't one. So we're picking things for the next 2 months that we would select that we would be very comfortable with. And again, we're not financial advisors here. And we did a Gatorade flip because neither of us had a coin, and I got to go first. So again, these are altcoins, no BTC, no stable coins. And again, you want to explain to the audience why we're not going to pick something like Avalanche or Luna. What would be the reason why probably those aren't going to be picked?
Probably because they've gone through a bit of a pump already, and you're not going to see much of a return in the next 30 to 60 days, which is a time frame that we're going to be discussing.
Yeah, so if something recently pumped like the CRO crypto.com coin, we're not, I mean, it's Solana, it just doesn't make sense. Now, if we were doing this 3 months ago in the bear market, we're probably definitely going to do a bear market draft, completely different scenario. But for this scenario, that's why we're not picking these coins, just so you guys understand. Is Luna, I'm lucky enough to hold it still, is doing awesome, but I would not pick it up today. Not where it's at right now. Now, maybe in a week or two, if things change, maybe. But as of today, no way. So I'm gonna start off, and I'm gonna pick one that I've been in for a long time personally. And remember, we are not financial advisors. Do your own research. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pick VGX as my first pick. And here's why. Great partnerships, Dallas Mavericks. You've got some NFL players on board. You got to look at what happened with crypto.com. It went from 5 cents to 70 cents within this cycle. Got a lot of momentum. They're about to get a new VLP, which is the reward program for the people that hold VGX. Over 2 million users. They're about to go to Europe. And I just think there's a lot of signs. Neither of us are TA experts, but you do the research. A lot of people think this is going to easily get to 10. Okay. Right now I'm looking at this moment, we're under $3. I mean, if you get a 3X, and by the way, if you hold a certain amount of VGX, you get extra, we're not going to call it interest, they call it rewards, extra rewards on your USDC. We'll do an episode about that later in the year where you can earn money just by having a stable, extra rewards on your Bitcoin, extra rewards on your Ethereum. Okay. You get opportunities to buy NFTs. Now they partnered with Particle, but they also partnered with the Dallas Mavericks, and there's supposed to be some Luka Doncic NFTs coming out in the future. They've got Avalanche creating a whole NFT system for them. So they've got a lot going on, and I think that momentum and that hype, I 10, yes, but it would not shock me when the market cap is still under $1 billion. Right now, 833. I wouldn't be shocked if we got to $29 if we got all the way to March. I really wouldn't. I mean, it's doable. It's been all the way earlier this year, got up to 728 pretty easily with much less hype, much less awareness. And they've had some problems, no doubt, but they're ironing them out. CEO, huge history, Steve Ehrlich, okay? Ran E-Trade. So that's my first pick. And I know it's shock a lot of people because a lot of people aren't, they might not be on Voyager, but that would be my first pick.
And I think I think we both agree on that one. That's a great pick. For all the reasons that you mentioned, also the CEO is the former CEO of Uber. I forget who they brought on just recently. I think Brooks is the guy's last name.
Mm-hmm. Worked for the U.S. Treasury, yeah.
Right. And so you see the kinds of moves that they're making. You see other tokens, like you said, CRO. You see the partnerships they have. Some of the stuff that I have down here You've got it's a native token, VLP. You've got Europe and Canada coming on board. You've got the debit card. You've got people like, Gronkowski, Cuban, big names coming on board. And I think they've got a lot of great things in the future. Great first pick.
All right. So Josh, you got pick number 2. So sometimes, in the NFL, NBA draft, the second pick ends up being the much better player. So let's see what you got.
Well, and I think it's important to mention that we are sticking to some things because we're not going to go too far off the exchanges. We don't want to pick anything that's too wild out there. We don't want to have people jumping onto their trust wallet and diving into a swap and paying.
Not with 2 months left. No.
Right. Worried about slippage, and there's a lot of stuff to worry about that. So we're going to stick to some of these exchange tokens. And my token, and I doubt this is going to be a surprise for you, but it's one that I've been in for a long time, and it's VeChain, the supply chain management company, down 38% in the last 30 days. And I think this consolidation is going to give it a strong comeback. But the world has supply chain problems, and I think VeChain is going to help solve it. I think they already do solve some of the world's supply chain problems. What are some of the other? See, their technology as far as tracking on the supply chain, they've got RFID technology, NFC technology, near field communication, which allows them to track from far away. And they are tracking carbon emissions. They're tracking temperatures on your food that they're shipping, status tracking. Sonny Liu, the former CIO of Louis Vuitton, is their CEO. And he's a guy that knows a lot about supply chain problems. Louis Vuitton, if you're married, somebody that has at least bought something that's a knockoff. But it's important for people who are paying that kind of cash for those purses to know that they're getting the real thing. So I think that's a huge market in supply chain, especially for luxury items like purses. And you can see how that is sort of cascade into other luxury items. And you already see that kind of stuff in shoes and clothing, and it's already starting to branch out. So I think VeChain is going to be a huge play, and I can see that bringing back at least a 4x from here.
Well, the high, was 27 cents, 27.85. And you remember some guys on YouTube, which will remain nameless, they were making some outrageous $7 to $10 claims. That's not happening. I think $1 is a pipe dream, but I would be shocked if they didn't get back to 27 cents because of all the reasons you mentioned. Plus, right now I'm looking at the daily volume, 190 million for 7 million market cap ain't bad when you're struggling.
So yeah, for a 7 billion market cap, that's not bad. And like you said, that all-time high that it got to before, I think it can easily reach that again. So I'm taking VeChain in the first round, and I'm happy with that pick. I'm sad that you stole it.
That's a good one. It's very popular in Asia, and I think when the new year, if money starts rolling in, that was one I remember when it was doing well at night would really pump when I went to sleep.
And that's the other thing you mentioned there, Asia, as cryptos are being banned and kicked out of China, VeChain enjoys quite a comfortable relationship with the Chinese government. And I think once that digital yuan gets going in China, and that China first policy that requires Chinese citizens to invest in Chinese companies, I think VeChain's gonna see the benefit of some of that as well.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I wouldn't have gone to with VeChain, but I do hold a lot of VeChain myself. I haven't sold any. My dreams of $2 to $3 are long gone, but I could see a 40 to 50 cent VeChain, and you just never know.
I think when we were talking about those lofty dreams of that price action, we were sort of naive in the space.
I agree, but at the same time, it went from 3 cents to 27 cents pretty quickly. We were talking about a matter of months, and it was, if you looked at sentiment online, VeChain was trending on Twitter back then a lot. We're talking about, this is pre-May, before we had the big, huge jump. when BTC went from 60 all the way down to 29 at the end. But July 20th is when we started to recover. But VeChain was one of the most popular coins. I mean, it had a lot of momentum. I mean, it just hasn't recovered. But you're wondering, though, if that, and we'll talk about this in future episodes, when something has been consolidating for a long time and BTC is not doing really well, that's the time you want to get in. That's real. And so this would be a great, if you are sitting on the sidelines and you want to jump into an alt besides just going into BTC and stable coins, VeChain would be a great one, because I don't see it going down from 8 cents. Worst case, you're probably going to double your money. I mean, a 16 is easy. As BTC recovers, in 2 months, if you get a 2x, you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, in the regular stock market, you'd be dancing in the streets. But and you pointed out the market cap of VeChain. I wanted to point back to VGX. That market cap on VGX, what is that? 800 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great market cap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can, if money flows into VGX, you can easily see that doing what CRO did. So I think you got the steal there as far as the Voyager app or the Voyager exchange is concerned, for sure.
Now it's going to get.
You mentioned all the benefits. You get the extra APY, all that stuff. But I still love my VeChain pick. I wanted to get that before you.
Now it's going to get very interesting, because I'm going to pick a coin that I know you're no longer in, and you have a lot of questions about. So we might go back and forth on this one. And this is one in the crypto community that you very divided. There's 3 camps. People have never heard of it, people love it, and people hate it. And I'm going with HBAR, baby.
I knew you were
They're a hash graph. And here's the thing. Yeah, they have partnerships with Google. Yeah, they've got
on the board.
They've got some big players. Yeah, they've got NFT.com. Yeah, they just signed a huge deal with people that loan money all over the world. Yeah, they're also working on stable coins from other countries. They've got South Korea lined up. It's already been reported that that's been tested. They're doing stuff in Australia with debit cards. There are a lot of breadcrumbs that when the United States government does their stable coin, which the digital dollar, that HBAR is going to be involved. We can't say for sure. We're not going to lie to the audience and say we know that for sure. But out of all of the blockchain projects, that's the only one that's been linked. And you watch that CEO talk and get interviewed, you can't be but impressed. Here's the thing: a lot of people that I follow on Twitter are HBAR fans that are in crypto, and these guys have been really good. I'm not talking about the celebrities like BitBoy. I'm talking about the people that, they're doing TA, they're putting up charts, they're talking about why they believe in the project. And I think the technology is there. I don't think they've done a good job marketing themselves, but even better to buy it now. We're sitting right now at 32 cents. The all-time high was 57. Now, here's the thing. In this week, we've pumped almost 20%.
Yeah, that's how I was going to point that out too. Is you
went from 20 to 34 down to 32. But listen to this: the market cap is 5.9 billion. We've got $100 million in volume. It is just starting now to get some name recognition. I'm talking about overall in the entire crypto space, because some people don't like it. They don't think it's decentralized enough. But here's the deal for me: governments, the institutions, they're going to want someone to talk to if something goes wrong. And, one of us might draft ADA. It ain't going to be ADA. It ain't going to be Charles. They're not going to be calling Charles. But Google, Microsoft, Boeing, yeah, you can call those people. And I have a feeling, again, breadcrumbs, when NFT.com launches in January, you might see some advertising from Google. You might see Google start really flexing their muscle. And I'm telling you right now, I really believe this, OpenSea is the prodigy of the NFT market. You guys remember Prodigy, if you're old enough, when the internet first started, Netscape, all of those technology. Netscape was actually a browser, but you get my point. AOL Instant Messenger. I don't think OpenSea is the future of NFTs. I really doubt it. it's very cumbersome to use, gas fees, MetaMask. That's not the future. The future is getting on a platform, buying and selling there for free. You shouldn't be paying fees. And
simplicity too.
Simplicity, the NFT.com. So if they execute that, a lot of breadcrumbs that they have some huge deals lined up. You know, they're also in medical technology. I recently got, I was talking to a physician in Arizona, and he did some research on HBAR, and he actually put in a good amount of money on it a few days ago, and he was going to tell his doctors about it. So I think HBAR is just starting to get recognition, and so they have not marketed at all. And supposedly that's going to change January 1st. They're going to switch, put on that switch. And I don't like to do predictions, but I am comfortable saying I really think a $1 to $2 to $3 H bar, especially the $1 range, very, very doable in my opinion. Very doable. So that's going to be my pick. That's the third pick.
Yeah, and I'm only going to offer 2 counters to your H bar thesis. One, a hash graph is not a blockchain, right?
Might be better.
It may be better. We don't know.
There are classes right now that claim that it's a better technology than blockchain.
And so that's one question that I have is the difference between those two and which is more efficient at the end of the day. 2, you mentioned centralization. And you know that I mean, we're obviously talking about tokens that are on exchanges. So we're not necessarily really concerned about centralization. But there are a lot of people who are in crypto who really hate centralization. And they also hate those big companies that you mentioned, like Google. You know, we've heard those things before. We hear it on the news all the time. So I think that those things would only be those would be the drawbacks. And also my own personal experience with HBAR. Every time I buy it, it seems to go down. I sort of FOMO in.
Well, I think you bought it the wrong time.
I FOMO in.
Another episode.
And then, you know, I just end up harvesting, you know, tax losses.
That's why you are known as MrFOMO.
That's it. That's why you just own the name, you know.
And that'll be a future episode, actually. We'll talk about, you know, we both made some errors along the way. We'll talk about what we've learned. But yeah.
And made errors with some of the tokens that we've already discussed. I mean, I remember when I was buying it on VGX at 590 and wrote it up all the way into 7 and then all the way back down. You know, so there's some really good lessons in crypto. And for everybody, it's kind of a personal journey, but there are some really good lessons learned there.
Now we're up here now to the 4th pick, so it's even more and more interesting. There's still amazing altcoins left.
There are.
Because my H bar, most people would not have taken H bar 3rd. I know that. And so you got a lot of coins to pick from. So I'm very interested to hear where you go with here.
I think I'm going to disappoint you again. I'm going to go with the easy one. My friends, my Twitter friends, my friends that sent me my swag.
Oh,
StormX.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the cashback crypto token. And they have their own app. They have tons of partnerships. When you look at the partnerships that StormX has, you've got the likes of Amazon, you've got Sam's Club, you've got Expedia, you've got Adidas, Nike. I mean, the list goes on. And you know, we saw the interview with Simon Yu, their CEO, and I came away not really knowing how I felt about them, but seeing him work, seeing the partnerships that he adds, knowing that he was at the races that one time and locked himself in the press box and went to work rather than sitting there and watching the races. A lot of respect for him, a lot of respect for the partnerships. They're also on the uniforms and on the floor for the Portland Trailblazers. They're doing commercials. They got one of the players to be their official partner.
CJ McCollum.
Yeah, CJ McCollum. They've got a debit card coming in Q1, which will be huge. They've got a 10% staking reward. So if you buy your VG or if you buy your StormX on Voyager, and you transfer it over to the StormX app, which takes a few minutes, you're going to get 10% APY on your holdings. And if you hold enough, you're also going to get multipliers on your cash back. So say Expedia is giving you something like 10% cash back on your purchases, you're also going to get a multiplier. So what I hold, I know I can get something like 1.5 to 2 times the multiplier, that's insane. First of all, 10% cash back on something is insane anyway. You don't even get that from, credit cards and special programs. But then to get that kind of cash back, and they really do, especially now during the holidays, I think in December they were offering 2 times cash back if you didn't even have StormX. So the cash back that they're giving is great, and then the fact that you can multiply the cash back is great. From here to reach their all-time high, you're almost talking about 5x. So I think price action, you can expect to see it. If we see what we expect to see here at the end of this bull run, I think some of these micro caps like StormX with a market cap of 224 million, I think you're going to see them run quite a bit. And so
I mean, the market cap right now, right this minute, is sitting as 226 million. It's amazing. I'm a StormX holder. My only concern is StormX, and why I didn't pick them earlier, because you would think some people watching this might think, man, they're going to pick the low market caps first. Don't get me wrong, I love StormX, and it was definitely something I was going to draft eventually. I am worried about the name recognition. I'll tell you why. And we've talked about this before. They don't have a huge following on Twitter. They don't have a huge following on Discord or Telegram. And when you talk to other people,
Army on Twitter is going to be so mad that you said that.
When you talk to other people on Twitter, that's not one of the first coins that gets mentioned. However, the partnerships are amazing. And if that switch gets turned on, look out. I mean, if they get a Coinbase listing,
that's the other
thing, or
have.
a crypto.com listing, look out. And I think that's the only real issue they have. I'm looking right now, 5.9 million is not bad volume for that low of a cap, actually. And they did when they had Amazon right before we had the drop. I remember the day before we had dropped down to 42. They were pumping. The volume, I think that day got all the way up to 40 million. So if they can recapture that momentum and BTC recovers, 10 cents, I would love it because I'm a big holder. I think is doable. So it's a good pick.
And we've talked about them before and some of the problems that we have with them. And like I've said before, onboarding is a big problem. You can't buy StormX from the app. It directs you to the Voyager app. So you download the Voyager app. You've got to buy your StormX on Voyager. Then you've got to transfer it to your wallet. It doesn't take that long. If you're into crypto already, you're probably pretty comfortable with that movement. But for people who are new to the space, those are tense moments. It takes 10 or 15 minutes, sometimes to get those transfers across. And those are those first transfers, I remember, I kept closing and opening the app and it was real sketchy and finally it went through and you get comfortable with it as you go. But as a first timer and somebody who wants to use it to get cash back as a first timer, I think it would be kind of hard to go through that process. We've talked about trying to get people on it and we said, there's a lot of different steps to go through. And if you couldn't get your grandma on it, then there's some obstacles to mass adoption there that I think that they need to work through. But again,
I tell you, here's why it's a good pick. You have some of the big players on YouTube that are just starting to mention StormX. So if BTC, most people in crypto expect the BTC bounce. We've started one, but a real one we get back into the mid 50s. If that happens and StormX gains back that momentum they had the day before, it's not a guarantee. They get 40 million volume daily. It did recover back. We almost touched 6 cents. I believe it was September, beginning of September, late August, September. So, it didn't fully recover, but it definitely showed signs. Yeah. So
I
think
feel like at 2 cents, wherever it is now, I lost my phone closed down on me, but at 2.2 cents, 2.3 cents, whatever it's trading at right now, whatever you can get it at, I feel like that's a steal.
Yeah,
You know
we're
what I
still
mean?
we're at 2.262. For
That's
the
a
month,
steal.
it's
It's a
down
steal.
25%. Yeah,
You
it's
can
a good
get
value.
tens of thousands of StormX right now for very
Because,
cheap, and then you can end up getting 1.5 your money back or cash back with that StormX. I think that's a no brainer.
because if it does become mainstream and some of the big names start pushing it, 10 cents is easy.
I mean,
So yeah,
think about Rakuten and how big that has gotten, and how much people use that to get cash back. And if crypto does become mainstream the way that we think it will, that's the Rakuten of crypto.
all right. Now we're going to go to the fifth pick, and these get very interesting. Some of you may be aware of these coins. Some of you might say, "Well, I've never really heard of that one." Here's one I'm going to go with, and they have a really good working relationship in Miami and with the mayor. They've got a 5.6 billion market cap, still pretty good. Right now, the volume's a little bit lower than it has been, 89.42. And I'm talking about e-gold, baby. Elrond. Now, let me say this about Elrond that people might not be aware. The two communities that are most active on the internet, ADA, everyone would say ADA because they have a huge following. ADA is like
Easily.
the New York Yankees of crypto. Not many people would think Elrond would be number two, but they are. And I'm kicking myself in the summer for not grabbing them when they were at 75. Okay, now they're at 246, and I do hold some Elrond. I'm actually a little bit under right now on it, but I'm not concerned. They're at 246, but all-time high 544. To me, if I were to we can't guarantee anything. We're not financial experts, but if you desperately needed a 2x and you told me what to get, that would be my actual first pick. I picked VGX because I think VGX has more potential. But if you were in a situation where you had to double your money and you decided to use crypto and you asked me, as someone that's been in the space for almost a year, what to get right now, today, I would go with Elrond. Here's what we need to talk about. Circulation, 22.9 million, baby. Not bill. That's F&M. Max supply 31.4. And I know not all of it has been minted. I know you're going to bring that up. However, you know what they have? They don't have
it's also not a billion. It's not a trillion. It's not a quadrillion like some meme coins out there. It's not a quadrillion.
They don't have the
supply.
The Cardano issue is Cardano has a ton of people. I know none of us picked it, but it's a big time coin that everyone knows about. They have a ton of spot traders that come in and out. They got some whales that are doing a little bit of manipulation. Now, Elrond, yeah, they're down from 544 to 246, right? Just hit 246. But it hasn't done much this week. It's down 21%, down 44% for the month.
Yeah, that's
and
the big. I mean, you're almost
hasn't
down
recovered.
For the month.
And when BTC recovers, I think you're going to see this thing. I think 544 is the minimum. I'm telling you, I would be comfortable anywhere between 700 to 1,000, really. So you're talking right now to 4x. It could go much higher, but it's a safe mid cap, and I like it a lot. Like I said, they already have a working relationship with the mayor of Miami. They're working on things in Florida. Very passionate community, but they're not overhyped to the point where you have a bunch of spot traders coming in and out of them. So I think eGold is a great pick. I'm taking him fifth. I wanted to get in this project for a while, just wasn't the best timing, but they've done a great job of just constantly the price action's been very solid. I mean, in this year, they started the year at $20.52, and they did get up to 544. I think there's a lot of room for them to run. I mean, I'm not going to say they have an avalanche run in them, but some of the some of the big name YouTubers recently got into Elrond and put some heavy money on there too. So that's my fifth pick. What do you think?
I'm going to take a shot at your supply shock, and these aren't my picks, but they might be. But there's two coins I want you to look at as far as supply is concerned. And if you look at Sushi Swap, and I don't know if they're ever going to mint anymore, but there's 238.76 million in circulation. You have 250 million max supply, so that would give it a 95.5% supply that's out there. E-Gold's at 73%, BTC 90% has been minted. If you look at one like Engine, it's a billion is the max supply, but you have a billion in max circulation. And so I wonder about that supply shock thesis that everybody talks about with BTC. And I wonder if it applies to other tokens the same way that it applies to BTC. And I know that's a
great question.
I know that E-Gold has said that they don't plan to mint anymore. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And so that's the only difference is I don't know about these others, but just in that quick research last night, because I knew that was one of your main theses on E-Gold, and I wanted to see how to compare it to some other ones. The only thing I don't know is if those other companies are planning on putting more of a supply out there. But that's something that I wonder about now that you brought that up is max supply, and will that be as an effective
it's a smart contract
as it is with BTC.
It's a smart contract play. You got to think in the next 2 to 3 months. Let's assume that the market, we don't have a top off until February or March. There's going to be another smart contract that does a run. Now it could be one we haven't collected. Yeah. It could be multiple, and they might not do an avalanche run. They might not go to 11 to 140, but could they do half of that? Yeah, and this one goes fast. And when I picked it up, not anymore, but at the time, it was a 2x in 2.5 weeks. And I don't care if you're talking about crypto stocks. That's good.
Yeah, and that's insane.
A lot of people took profits. It's down right now. I think it's coiling up for a huge. Again, we're not financial advisors. Got to say that, but I think definitely it's coiling up. And if someone really needed to double their money and they wanted to feel safe, that would be one of the ones I would point them to, probably. Honestly. We got the top 5 out of the way. There are still some great projects left. And some of you watching might be saying, oh my God, I can't believe they haven't taken some of the others. Well, you got the 6th pick. Josh, where are you going?
The 6th pick is one. There's a lot of stuff going on with this one. It's been around for a while. Very well known. And I think it could 4x from here, down about 32% over the last month. And I was buying it even below in this last week at like $24, was adding to my bag on it. You know what I'm talking about. It's Polkadot. Yeah, the parachain auctions. Yeah, the parachains come through. That is working. That makes the transactions per second a lot faster, allows them to scale a lot better. What can you not say about DOT that isn't good? Like I said, and you were saying about E-Gold, there's, if you were going to say, what do you got that's a 2x without a doubt, if everything goes up here, what do you got that's at least a 2x? You get, again, not financial advisors, but if I had to bet on one to return me my money, I'd say it's Polkadot. At $25 or around $25, I could easily see that going 4x to 100. And when you add in the fact that you go into an exchange like Voyager and you can get 12% APY paid out monthly, where can you get 12% on your money?
And
And
the thing is,
then on the
I don't
idea
think a
that
lot
it
of
could
people know that.
potentially 4x. So I think that even if you go into a bear market, they're going to be around, right? So even if we're totally wrong and the next 30 to 60 days goes completely the other way, you're getting 12% on that money that you put in there. It's paying you out in DOT. And when the market returns, and it will, like we say, if the dip is here, then the next pump is near. If the pump is here, then the next dip is near. So, plan accordingly. I think DOT is one that no matter what happens, you're going to see a comeback. And I think it's down so much right now. Like I said, I was adding to my bag last week. I think that's one of those ones when it's down, you feel about eGold, I feel the same way about DOT. When it's down,
No, listen. I love DOT too. I love the 12% I've been getting for several months myself.
Right.
Uh,
Every time that comes in on the first of the month, it's like found money. It's like you're walking along the street and you picked up $100 on the side of the road.
And for our audience here, if you have not looked at Voyager, and we don't work for Voyager or anything like that, there are other exchanges, obviously, but if you can pick up something safely, get 12% rewards, and possibly have a 2x or even more, like he talked about. I think DOT is a good one. Unfortunately, the parachains happened, and then BTC tumbled.
Yeah.
And so it's just a matter of, can they get the momentum back? But I'll say this:
isn't that how it goes in crypto? I mean, isn't that you sort of you always hear the buy the rumor, sell the news, but when you have these major events, it usually triggers some sort of capitulation, and so you see that downward action. You saw it with Cardano. You saw this huge buildup to all their milestones, and then once the milestone hits, you see this huge fall off afterwards. And
and the reason I really like that pick, I was excited to pick up DOT at 20, and we're sitting here at 28. I mean, great ecosystem. Market cap 32 billion.
It's going to take a lot of money to move that, but I could see that still moving easily.
But the daily volume right now is 934.8 million the last 24 hours. So we're not talking. We just talked about a coin we picked it at 5 mil. This got 944. The money's there. And when I've told a lot of people that are new, completely new, and I've told them about DOT and the 12%, that's one of the first coins that they buy. So again, there's going to be a lot of people entering, for good or bad. There's going to be a lot of people, I think, that had just entered or are going to enter the space the next 2 to 3 months. In fact, we had a couple of people overhear our conversation the other day. We were planning this podcast. I can tell you that for sure. And I
missed the opportunity to give like referral codes and stuff. We have to start.
Yeah. Well, before we leave, we're going to give out our referral codes for this episode for sure. It's the first episode. We got to pimp ourselves, no doubt. But we don't make enough money on our real job. Let's be honest.
Right.
But
which will also tell you that we're not financial advisors.
Yeah, again, not financial advisors. We'll keep saying that. Entertainment purposes only with expert knowledge.
Education.
Yeah. I love that pick. Again,
it wasn't a very brave pick. I'll admit that.
It's not going to go nuclear. But
I'm not hanging off a cliff on that one.
But you're in good shape. I mean, I can't see it retrace. The only way it retraces again, and this would be for every coin, if BTC doesn't actually recover. If this is a fake out right now, we go back in the 40s and 30s, we get a bear market. But you know what? Something like that is not going to get destroyed in 3 or 4 hours, like a mem coin.
Right. Just like a lot of money it's going to take a lot of money to move it up.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of money out to move it down.
There are a lot of newbies on YouTube that are starting channels where they just go into CoinMarketCap and they find something that has a 300,000 market cap and they try to get people excited. Bottom line is you could 10x. You could lose all your money in 24 hours.
You could get
if BTC, when the thing about those coins, and this is why I'm not drafting any of them, to be honest with you, even forget about a bear market. When we have a dip, they get destroyed fast. I've gone into the Binance Smart Chain area before, and I've dabbled a little bit, and it's hit or miss. And so if you're getting in now, that's not the direction to go. that you're much better off getting into something like DOT that's much safer. You're going to get the rewards. It's not going to crumble in 3 or 4 hours. You're not going to get rug pulled. So I'm with you on that. That's a good pick. Okay. So now, and I could be wrong, are we up to pick number 7?
Yep, you are.
Okay.
You are up with pick number 7.
And so again, a lot of good coins.
I feel a robbery coming right here.
Where am I going? I thought about this. Originally, I was not going to draft this coin actually, but then I thought about it.
Me right here.
Then I thought about it, and I said, you know what? If I had to buy fresh right now, and I knew something was going to happen in January where they were going to turn their American app on, I'm going to go with Chili's, baby. And has not done that great for me. I mean, I'm up, but I wrote it for a while. Chili's, if you don't know, is up 1,251% for the year. At one point, before the first major dip in March, it went up to 92 cents. So it's way below. We're at 29 cents right now. And I don't know if it's going to get back to the all-time high, but if it does, in 2 or 3 months, like you said, you're dancing in the streets. Market cap 2.5 billion. That's it. Now we talk about partnerships. We've got all the international, not all, but a ton of big name international soccer teams.
The world sport.
NBA, NHL, NFL has just gotten started. They recently got New England Patriots, Dallas Cowboys, I believe. And that's just getting started. They're just starting. They have not really updated the app. They've gotten the partnerships with the American sports teams, but what they haven't done is they haven't really updated their app. So it's working full go. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, my favorite basketball team, they're in partnership with the Cleveland Cavaliers, but there's no Cavaliers Socios Chili's token yet. That is supposed to start in 2022. So I think before people were like, well, is this just a bunch of hype? When people can actually get their hands on these tokens and they can decide what color the team, the jersey wears and what music they play, that may not seem like a big deal, but trust me, as a sports fan, I know that's a huge deal. Like the Cleveland Browns, my favorite football team, for good or bad, one of the things they tweet is what the jersey combination is going to be. And people actually get excited and frustrated about that. So if that, like in Europe, you can control that, the people get to vote based on how many tokens they have of that team. If that starts happening in the US and Chile starts getting, now there was a rumor about NFL playoff ticket NFTs using Chili's, but I haven't, you'd think it'd be confirmed by now. So that's probably not going to happen. There's just a lot of rumors. They did move their headquarters.
You could easily see, with their partnerships with those sports, you could easily see a ticket to a major event coming with some sort of NFT to provide that authenticity. Because you and I have discussed this before. I have one of those paperweights that's from the Bears Super Bowl, which is not actually probably a ticket that somebody used at the game. They print extras of those so that they can sell those paperweights, right? It's not really, it's a collector's item, but it's not as authentic as you would hope that something like that would be. But like we said with VeChain before, when you can provide an NFT with that, you can authenticate that sort of thing on the blockchain on an online ledger. It's like authenticating it with a bank, which is better than, like the baseball card authenticator that you've got down in Sarasota. To me, that's, as far as returns are concerned, I think this is probably so far, aside from maybe VGX, I think this is your one that's going to give you returns. And remember, their partnership with Socios and the idea that they're going to be working hand in hand with that company with the social tokens.
Socios is a part of their company.
Right.
They are
Socios. So they're going to learn from what Socios is doing. They're going to incorporate those kinds of things, because those social tokens a little bit different from what they've done. But like what you're talking about, could that bleed into a more social? Could it lead into that fan governance where the fans get that involvement? They become stakeholders in the team. You almost create that thing like in Green Bay where they, the Packer fans are also shareholders in the team. that kind of fan involvement. You can't beat that kind of stuff.
I could see a day
And
where
they're fanatics. That's it.
I could see a day where you hold, if you hold so many coins, you get to go to a meet the rookie dinner, or even if it's
The rookie. Who don't meet the rookie?
well, maybe you get to sit in on the draft room. I don't know if you have so many.
That would be killer.
I'm just spitballing here, but the other thing is the NFL dabbled in NFTs. They actually used Polygon, which neither of us have picked, and that probably because it's pumped too high. For the Bears,
I'm a huge Matic fan, so
Bears Lions, they dabbled with NFTs. The NFL did. Now, but they did not commit
you
to
couldn't
using.
pick two more horrible teams.
But I think it was a Thanksgiving Day game. Now, they did not, and they did not say though that it was a partnership. It was kind of like a one-off thing. I've got to think this year's Super Bowl is going to have NFTs. I don't know if Chili's, but I don't know if they're going to go with Chili's. But and there was a rumor that they were going to go.
It seems like they're testing a few different companies.
Yeah, they were going to do player cards.
With Chili's experience, you would think that they would have a good shot at winning.
Well, they were going to do NFL player cards with Flo, who does the NFL Top Shots. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, that's the whole nother show about coins that are very difficult to get. Flo is one of the top there, and that's why it probably hasn't done as well as it should. But they haven't heard a lot about that, and so the ticketing, I'm pretty sure they're not doing with Flo, and the ticketing, they're going in a different direction. So if it ends up being Chili's, you're going to get to $1. You're on your investment.
You're talking about some of the biggest sports on the planet. The biggest fan bases on the planet. You're talking about.
That's news all over. Every news.
Right.
For the first time ever, the Super Bowl has an NFT which you can own, and it's powered by Chili's. Boom.
And not only that, the exposure that you get from. We saw FTX at the All-Star game in baseball on the umpire jerseys, and then from there it ballooned into what they are now, owning.
Well, what about when Crypto.com took over the Staples Center?
Right,
that was a facilitator for CRO, which is why I like VGX so much. Because
that's the kind of exposure that you can't beat.
People are looking for the next exchange token, so that was why I picked VGX number one. We still got a ton of great coins left. Where are you going at 8?
At 8, all right. I really struggle now that we are down to these last 2 picks, because some of my main my main investor thesis is get into things that people are into, like you just talked about with Chili's. You've got to get into the places where people are spending their money and where they're showing their faces.
I think I know where you're going on this one.
And so for me, I think before I miss out on gaming, I've got to dive into a gaming token. And, of all the gaming tokens that are still out there, the one I love the most is Engine.
Ooh, I'm actually surprised. I thought you were going in a different direction at first.
Where did you think I was going?
I thought you were going to Decentraland, baby. Mana.
No, and part of that is I feel like it's not really mine, but Engine was mine first. We talk crypto with Meg a little bit, and maybe we'll have her on one of these podcasts. But she was in on Mana way before I was, and I'm not really, I'm not crazy about the metaverse. I can see its potential for a lot of different things, but I can't see strapping that headset. We have an Oculus. I, for some reason, spent the money for my son, and I can't see strapping that thing to my head on a constant basis to dive into the metaverse. If that gets better, then maybe. But just the interface for that, you see PlayStation, you see Xbox, they're not really going that direction necessarily. They have their own setups, but as far as the metaverse is concerned and gamers are concerned, they want to play games. I think the metaverse will grow, especially with the shopping and stuff that's out there. But Engine, what I love about Engine is that they can go from game to game to game to game with their NFTs. If you buy a sword in one game, or if you pick up a sword in one game, it'll wear down over time as you use it. You can build it back up. You can sell that sword on the open marketplace, or that, gun, whatever you're using in your game, but you can use those things in different games. And that's the idea behind some of their NFTs, is that you're not restricted with your avatar and the things that you purchase for your avatar. And really, when we talk about mass adoption, we talk about the metaverse. I think avatars are really the depth that most people want to get to, my gaming avatar. But I don't think that I want, like I said, I don't want to strap that Oculus onto my head and be my gaming avatar every day. Especially you saw, what's the guy? I always forget his name, Zuckerberg. You saw him do an interview on Good Morning America where he strapped that thing on his head, and they had their virtual meeting in the metaverse. And I was like, yeah, it's not there yet. It's just not there yet.
Yeah, and that's a good one. I would have gone a different direction, but Engine at 2 not too long ago would have been an amazing pickup. Still an amazing pickup right now. It has run a little bit, and that's why it wasn't as high on my list, because even since we've been planning this podcast, it's already been started running back up. It got over 4. I think it's talking about a safe 2x. That could Engine's on that list.
And because it's gaming, I just really believe in gaming. Like I've said before, everybody plays video games because video games are awesome. No matter who you are, you've at least tested the waters in video games. And I think that VR is a novelty a little bit right now. I think it'll get better. But I think if I had to get a gaming token into my picks, and one that's widely available, one that I think still has plenty of room to run because it's involved with people like Microsoft and Xbox, I think that's my gaming pick. Even though it has a $2 billion market cap, or almost a $3 billion market cap, and I still think there's enough money in gaming to drive that one through the roof. Like you said, it's an easy 2x, but I think there's more in that because of gaming.
Market cap is still low as well.
Yeah, I still think I'd still consider it a small cap. As far as gaming is concerned, I could have gone, like you said, Sandbox, Mana. I could have gone Phantom, even stretched out a little bit and gone Gala.
Yeah.
But, Phantom and Gala both have bigger market caps. I think Mana has a bigger market cap than Engine. Sandbox, I'm pretty sure, also has a bigger market cap than Engine. So yeah, as far I needed gaming in my top 5, and Engine's my baby. I've been on Engine since back like 77 or 80 cents or something like that. Remember, it was one of those first ones that I jumped onto, and I didn't know what to do when it all of a sudden 2x'd. So that's it.
That's a
down
good pick.
To the bottom.
And I think this is my last pick. And so it's very difficult. And there's a couple I thought about.
There's so many good tokens left.
I thought about Veracity, and here's the issue with Veracity. I love that token. It's not on a lot of exchanges, virtually none, especially US.
It's hard to get. Yeah.
The website is not easy to use. And so you know what? I'm thinking about our audience right now. They don't want to waste hours trying to get onto something, and they might not want to do a swap. So if Veracity was on a platform like Coinbase or Voyager, I would go with it. I'm going to go with Mana here, and here's why. This is a fact that people don't know, and it was really between Mana and Sand, because I think the metaverse run is not over. I think there's another big metaverse pump. Here's the deal with Mana. Sandbox has someone like Snoop Dogg who owns land. They've got some celebrities. I mean, Sandbox is going places too. The reason why I picked Mana, Grayscale, very, very heavy. They are part of Mana. They're not just a partner. Their money is in there. And so they're not technically running it, but they're right there with them. And so the Grayscale is not going to fail. Mana, big time backers, huge backers. You remember that weekend when Facebook changed its name and Mana did a 4x in, I think it was about 32 hours. it was not actually, you know what? I'm going to say this. I think it was actually 24 hours because I remember some people were saying, "Hey, this is going to be a great time to buy Mana." Didn't do it. I had a lot of money invested in other places, and we went from under $1 well over four, just like that. We went on another mini
I
run.
had already sold out of my Mana at that point.
We went on another mini run, and we came back. Now, yeah, the market cap is not super small, but it's not a huge market cap. Right now, we're looking at a 7 billion market cap. It's a mid cap, and I really think that you're going to see more hype when BTC recovers. At some point in the next 2 months, you're going to see another metaverse run. And so the question, Sandbox has more of a Sandbox is very popular with celebrities. I get it, but that Grayscale is not going to lose. I'm telling you right now.
I dogged the metaverse a little bit, but the money that's pouring into the metaverse, when you have somebody like Nike buying a central piece, when you have Sotheby's buying a central piece so that they can have virtual auctions, which I think is a huge partnership. The Sotheby's things, the virtual shopping, if you can combine that.
Virtual concerts.
Yeah, but just as far as retail is concerned, if you can combine that virtual shopping with some of those apps that can measure you, and maybe you're standing there and you can virtually try on clothes or see how they would look on you, I think that certainly has a future. But like you're saying, there are plenty of other uses for the metaverse that are, it's not just nerds, finding digital
And here's the thing with metaverse: we remember Sims from the '90s and early 2000s. For some people, this is
wildly popular.
This is an escape. This is a way for them to deal with their problems in the real world. They might not be.
They always dreamed of.
They might not be sports fans like me and you. It's probably more healthier than than turning to alcohol or drugs for sure. It may not be the most healthy thing to be in your computer all day, but Mana to me, I don't know, and I haven't used it, but I don't think you have to really be a VR expert. I think if you're into just escaping and going into another world, that's your place. And I think that's where they're getting traction. That's why you see Facebook moving in that direction. I don't like Mark Zuckerberg, but he's not an idiot. There's a reason why they're headed there, because there are a lot of young people that don't, to kind of deal with stress, get away. You might not have the money to travel. And so we're still kind of dealing with a pandemic here. And so a metaverse is nice. And when you have a coin that's got a grayscale attachment to it, heavy grayscale attachment to it, and I'm looking right now, 590 all-time high. We're at 326. Still a good buy. And the volume is low right now compared to what it was. That weekend pump, we saw volume over $1 billion. And right now we're at 275 million. So I think this one is consolidating. I think this one's going to go. And I thought for this draft, I wanted something in the metaverse. I thought about Sandbox, but Sandbox has a 15.3 million market cap. Okay.
Yeah, that market cap is just too big. If you want to make money within the next 30 to 60 days, if your time frame is short, and that's what we're looking at here is a shorter time frame. You're going to look at something like that. Unless you're talking about something like Cardano that has an amazing community that can funnel in that kind of money on the fly. I think that's a great pick.
And if I had another pick, I'll tell you right now, that's where I'd have gone. But maybe
I think we should maybe go over some of these honorable mentions we have because
definitely. Well, does that mean you're not going with ADA, your first true love? Is that what I'm hearing right now? Last pick, you're gonna spun your first crush in crypto?
I am going to spurn ADA.
Wow.
I am going to spurn ADA, and it's not because I don't love ADA or because I mean, we've talked about this. I think there's a 5X there. I think that ADA could get there, but who knows when that's going to happen. And they've got some problems on the back end with Plutus. The swaps, there's some FUD out there And I think there's honestly some truth to it, because once you go through so many of these milestones, and then they get to one milestone, and well, there's still this to go, and there's still this to go, and there's still this to go. I appreciate their academic approach. You and I think both appreciate that. We appreciate the social aspect of that token. Appreciate what they're trying to do. Banking the unbanked. I was trying to go with some other stuff, but yeah, Cardano would be a great play because it's at least a 3x from here. And this one, as I'm looking at it, I'm still struggling.
Well, remember, just like the NFL, you lose your pick if you don't pick within the first couple minutes.
So I'm going to go ahead and throw you a curveball here. I know we talked about Sushi Swap earlier. And that is what I am not going to go with. I'm going to throw you a curveball, and I am going to go with a DeFi project, DeFi to the masses. You are, when you purchase this, you're a liquidity provider. They do over collateralized loans. There's market cap of $3 billion right now. I am talking about, and the price just shot up within the last day, which is heartbreaking. It's up 15% in the last day. Over the last month, though, you lost all of those gains. But I can see this one getting back to at least its 52-week high, just because it is liquidity provider. It's also open source. It's been fully audited. It's secured. This is one of those ones that you don't hear a lot about, but you also don't hear a lot of bad about it. You don't hear a lot of FUD about Aave.
Ooh, interesting pick.
And yeah, I wanted number 5 to be interesting. I didn't want to, that's part of the reason why I didn't want to go with Cardano. I wanted to maybe explore something that we haven't explored a little bit. And I think liquidity, I think loans, borrowing, I think that's a huge thing. And I think in DeFi, you make that so much easier. And I think that those, in the long run, for sure, I think those types of protocols will have a lot of life, especially as we start to get rid of some of these smaller banks or some of these more corrupt institutions that are only giving us 0.15% on our money. When you can lend your money to a protocol like this, and they're going to give you those kinds of returns, I see people putting their money into this, especially with the over collateralized loans. This isn't like taking a chance on, the bundled loans that killed the housing market in 2008. These kinds of loans are pretty safe. And so I can see this type of a thing running. If institutional money's in, if banks are coming in, I could see them being attracted to something like this.
Aave was not something that was on exchanges earlier in this run. It has gotten on, and I could see them recapturing that momentum late. So not a bad pick. But before, and
I'm disappointed. Last night when I looked at it, it was down $30 from where it is now, and so that 15% run
weren't being picked. And I want to go to that before we end this. We've gone much longer, but it's fine. We've given people amazing information. There's 3 that I want to bring up that we did not, and I'll let you pick which one you want to talk about. That easily could have been drafted. We kind of mentioned ADA. Another one we have not talked about that could do amazing things. We might look like fools for not drafting XRP. Right. Yeah.
And I had mentioned that the only thing about XRP right now is that you can't get it on.
Well, you can get it. You can't. Not an exchange.
You can't get it easily.
Now but you can buy it and then send it to an exchange and then sell there, which makes it a little bit easier. We didn't bring up, and here's one. I know.
Let's go with XRP a little bit, because they are going to be an important token. They know what they're doing. Ripple Labs is a good company. I don't think this SEC lawsuit has any more traction. You had a lot
Well,
of people
but
saying,
here's the thing, and the reason I didn't pick XRP earlier in the draft, we're guessing about this lawsuit when it could go on for another 6-7 months. If it goes on into the bear market, I don't see that huge pump. I don't see it. Now, if January it's over and all of a sudden it's on Coinbase, I mean, you can buy it on Coinbase and
if it gets relisted,
and Crypto.com and Binance US.
But gambling on it being relisted is exactly that. It's a gamble, especially if you're talking about the next 30 to 60 day time frame.
It does have a huge following, but it has been accumulating for a long time. I mean, it's a VeChain type accumulation, and a little more complicated than VeChain kind of thing.
But
and the market,
I think it's really popular. I think XRP is really popular with the younger generation.
I think everyone that's an Oakland or Las Vegas Raider fans now owns XRP. You talk about a perfect marriage, Raiders gear and XRP. I think there's been no marriage from crypto to sports would be better, but that was one. And I do want to mention one more because it is an alt technically, Ethereum. I'll tell you why I didn't pick it, and you tell me why you didn't pick it. Ethereum is pretty safe. It's going up when BTC goes up. We've had people call between 10,000 and I think the 20,000 is not going to happen this run, but a lot of people are very adamant that they.
I'd be surprised if 10,000 happened this run.
Really?
To be honest with you, I mean, let me bring up the market cap here.
Market cap is gigantic, no doubt.
It's 469 billion. It takes a lot of money. I mean, we're almost at 4,000 right now as the price you're talking about. You've got to get to almost a trillion to get that thing to 10.
Could happen with major FOMO into the market.
It could happen, but think about the number of coins that are out there now. The spread on that, we're talking about over 12,000 coins, and most of those, most people aren't putting their money into. I mean, part of the premise of this video is that we're dealing with mostly coins that you can get on exchanges. But I really think that kind of money in the next 30 to 60 days, I think that's a pipe.
And there's a lot more competition than there was 12 months ago.
Yeah.
Avalanche, Solano. But I'm looking right now at the daily volume, 5.3 million. Excuse me.
Did I mute you? Can you hear me?
I think we've done a great job here. I'm happy with my picks. I know you're happy with yours.
Well, I think we can mention a few more. I think.
Okay, let's go a little bit longer.
I lost your audio there for a second. So
you got me back?
Yeah, I've got you back. But
okay, great. I was going to say also, we are definitely going to give out our codes at the end. Yeah. We've earned it. So that'll be the last thing.
I think we should mention a couple more. One we haven't mentioned that a lot of people are going to be disappointed with us is Chainlink. Chainlink, I could see Chainlink easily doing a 2x from here. It's only at about $20 the price right now. It has a big market cap, but I mean, really, when you're talking about oracles, you're talking about the only oracle. The partnerships, especially through crypto, are out of control, and I think that we'd be remiss if we just didn't talk about them.
I'll tell you why I did draft them really quickly. The sentiment for the sentiment for Chainlink has been, and I was 1 point a Chainlink Marine, as they call them, but it didn't last long, got a little bit of profit, came out. The sentiment has been bad for a long time. They did have a pump. They got I believe 53 was the all-time high. But other than that one pump, it's been a stable coin, pretty much.
To me, I could see it reaching 60. To me, it makes sense for it to reach something like 60, right? But the idea that it's been around so long, it has so many partnerships, and it keeps adding these great partnerships. But every time
you were hearing a lot about Chainlink in January, February. I'm talking about the big name YouTubers, the people that get the big audiences. They don't talk about it anymore.
And that's what I
You
was going
know,
to say
that,
is do you think that the love affair is necessarily over? Do you think that it's
I
discovered
think
its
that money's
price?
gone to other places. I think that
Yeah,
money's
and
gone
that's what I
to
was thinking.
Polygon
Has
and
it discovered its price, and is it going to range between 20 and 50, and then that's going to be kind of it for Chainlink?
I think the problem is twofold. It's still a huge cap.
Hmm.
There was, I don't think it's unsubstantiated. There was someone that owned a lot of Chainlink that was dumping, that had bought a ton at the very, very beginning, that was holding the price down. That's no longer happening. That's no longer an excuse. The volume is not there for a big market cap. So
And
you've got
that's
low
something we
sentiment.
haven't really talked about is these coins, these tokens that have huge holders. You talk about like Dogecoin and some of the meme coins, they have huge bags with one particular wallet. And we didn't really talk about some tokens that are backed by venture capital and how that's not real decentralization. We didn't talk about that either. I think there's a lot of stuff we can still get into with these videos, but Chainlink, yeah, I just think that it's to be honest with you, I think that it'll keep ranging where it is, but because there's so many partnerships, it adds those partnerships. It doesn't seem to really affect the price. I think it's kind of going to be where it is. I think I could see it
I
getting to
would
60, but
I would take something. We didn't mention this one because it recently pumped. It was going to be on my list. I would take something like Cosmos/Atom over Chainlink myself.
yeah,
Another one
I
I didn't.
I love Cosmos, and it's for sort of a nefarious reason, but they've dabbled in trying to connect um, the legalized cannabis industry uh, to their customers. The Cosmos has worked with some of the tokens that are trying to allow the people who have medical cards to be able to purchase their medicine, and they are trying to link that up. And that's part of my thesis too, is things that
Yeah, and the other
people
two,
need.
if I had more picks really quickly, Algo and Tezos, two more smart contract plays.
Algorand and Tezos, I
Yeah,
definitely have those on my list. Sushi Swap, I mentioned before.
it
In
pumped.
that
It
one,
pumped late. That's it pumped right before we recorded this. Otherwise, I would have been, because there is a rumor that Avalanche wants to take in Sushi Swap, and that would be huge for Sushi Swap. So that would help.
some of the other ones like Phantom and Gala. One that I had on my list that we didn't really mention is MakerDAO. Um, just that was just kind of a shot in the dark, but I think at a 2.4 billion market cap, and I don't have many notes on them, but I think that you could also see that 3xing. And I remember earlier in the year they got a lot of publicity. So I think that's another one that we didn't mention that could also see a
Yeah, and
little bit of
like
room to
you
grow.
mentioned, there's only so much money to go around, and
Right.
there's thousands of coins. My theory is there's way too many. I'd like to see some of these. This is going to sound negative, but I like to see some of these coins die. One, they're not well run. I don't think the intentions are good. There are no use cases, but they're getting people to buy them because people are trying to catch the next Shiba. People are trying to catch the next Dogecoin, and they're buying these tokens that have unlimited supplies, no use case, and basically it's a bunch of people online that are getting paid to pimp these coins, and it's not healthy for the industry. So I think one of the things is, that's why maybe that's why something like Chainlink doesn't doesn't run like it would have 4 years ago when there were a lot less coins. So that's something that,
And that's like I said, that's an argument for not choosing some of those larger caps, some of those big caps you might want to stay away from. And Cardano is one of those big caps. I mean, that market cap is huge, and so with that much money being spread all over the market, and like you said, the people who are up to no good, they leave a bad taste in people's mouths. And I think that's another reason why it's good that we work. When we did this initial video, I think it's good that we're working off of exchanges. I could have gone to Coinbase, but I felt, these all of these I think are pretty readily available.
I think
You
they're
can
easy to
pretty
get,
much
and I think people are coming in, and they don't want to get caught in a bad situation. You buy something, like I said, that you don't know anything about. Bear market, Now, it might not be a traditional bear market. It might be like something we had in May through July 20th. You get stuck with something like that. It just might not, really, really quickly, I'll say this. Some of those coins never recovered. Even though BTC went all the way back up to 69, some of those coins from earlier this run have never, I'm talking about the stuff that you search and super low caps, they 10, 50, 100x, they never recovered. The money's gone. It ain't coming back. There's hundreds of those coins, and you're done.
There is some argument. I mean, and this is something that I think we should look into maybe. But once a coin falls below a certain threshold of its all-time high, there are some people, and there's some of the people that I follow on YouTube and Twitter that would argue that once it falls below that you should make sure that you don't get back into it because it won't recover, they say. I don't know. They don't offer any statistics or necessarily
for every Shiba
examples.
For every Shiba Inu, there's 1,000 of them that don't work. So just remember that if you're brand new into crypto.
I think look at coin market cap every day. The biggest gainers are going to be ones that you'll never be able to, one, get your hands on, or two, but you'll never hear anybody talking about.
Or if you hold on to them for too long, you lose all your money anyways. That's
right. Or by the time you hear about it and buy it, everybody that was in it first is ready to rug pull you. So yeah,
I think a good way to end this video, it's been a great draft. I hope you guys enjoyed it, is to give out we're gonna pimp our Voyager referral codes here. Why not? And I'm sure we'll flash them at the bottom of the description. But I one thing I want to say, and granted, Voyager is not the only exchange, but like I said, VGX is my #1 pick. I do believe in Steve. So we're gonna give you the codes if you do want to jump in. We're gonna do another episode on this, but on Voyager you can get minimum 9% on your USDC rewards. Not a financial advisor. 9%. Look it up. And when you look up, I'm not going to say what the situation with the taxes, but I think you're going to be very happy. There's a bit of a loophole. So 9%.
Especially once that debit card comes out.
9%. Never worry about things going up and down. And like I said, if you do sign up with one of our codes, you're going to get $25 free of Bitcoin. So.
And I think that you made a great point. And I think that we should emphasize that a little bit. People getting into crypto, they're often getting into it to make some money, but it's often not something that they're very comfortable with. I think that's why we do these videos. But you can be comfortable with USDC because they're backed by actual assets, right? Their USDC is backed 1-to-1.
Partnership with Visa.
Right. It's not like fractional banking where they're lending out most of your money.
They're audited every single week.
They're backed 100%. And then on top of that, it's not going to go up and down. Like you said, you're just going to earn your money every month. 9%, which is about 8.85% better than any bank is giving you right now on your savings. It's a no-brainer. And
depending, I don't want to get too much into detail, but depending if you want to buy some VGX, that could go up to 10. That could go up. So just something to think about. So again, if you're looking for an exchange, easy to use, I personally would recommend Voyager. I know you would too. Again, it doesn't matter if you use it, but if you do, really quickly, my referral code, D as in dog, 89B6A. That's D89B6A. Josh, you want to give yours out really quickly?
Mine is F as in Frank, 85619. F as in Frank, 85619.
And that's really for our podcast listeners because, I'm sure it's a lot of times you don't read those fine prints for the podcast underneath the descriptions. Let's be honest. But on YouTube, we'll definitely have that. And Josh, and unless you wanted to say something else, I think this is a good time to end.
I think we run a little bit longer than we wanted, but I think this was a great first start. And I look forward to doing some more videos.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and we'll be back. Thanks again.
Yeah, we'll be back to check in to see how these do. Make sure we write down some of these prices so that we can see. I'm already nervous.